To begin this assignment, we're going to adjust row height. The easiest way to do that is to bring your cursor between the numbers over at the side. You see where all of, let me slide this over, see where all of the row headings are, the numbers over here. And if you bring your cursor to the bottom of a row, you see it turns blue and you get two-way arrows to stretch. So I want to make row 1 about the size of 5 rows, that height. So I'm going to click and drag it down to 5. And when I let it go, it adjusts row 1 to be about 5 times the size that it just was. I want to adjust row 2. So I'll bring my cursor below the 2, turns into a blue line. I have my two-way arrows, and I will adjust it to be about 2 times the size of 1 row. So I'll bring it down to 3 and let it go. And notice that as you're adjusting a row, it adjusts the entire row as far as it exists, not just one box. We'll leave row 3 alone, and we want to make row 4 approximately double the size. So I'll bring my cursor to the bottom of 4, click with my two-way arrows and drag down to about the bottom of 5. You see 2 and 4 are just about the same size. And then row 5, I want to make it about 4 times the size that it is. So I'm going to bring my cursor to the bottom of row 5. I will click with my two-way arrows, drag down just to about where the 8 is. And that should make it about 4 times the size as an average row. Okay, so now we are ready to fill in some of the text. We're going to practice merging cell. We will add fill color and change font. And you're going to need the handout that was provided in class to do this. I say need, it's going to be a lot easier if you have it. So have that nearby so you know what I'm referring to. So I'm going to select A1 through F1 and merge. And this is my merge button. It has two, it looks like a box with 2 arrows pointing to each other. And if I point to it, it says merge cells. I will merge that together, and we're going to go ahead and fill it in blue. Then I'm going to merge A2 through F2 by selecting them, merging, and we're going to fill this one in green. In the middle of this box, I want to write in all capital letters, Cupcake Fundraiser. I said I want it in the middle, so let's go back and actually adjust it. We'll change alignment to center horizontally. We'll change alignment to center vertically. These 2 buttons here that are right next to each other. They're very similar to Google Slides, just slightly different. And to make it like the handout, I'm going to change the font to white. I'll make it bold. We're going to make it much bigger. Let's go up to about 24. And that looks like the handout. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is wrapping text. So we're going to click in cell A4 and type the name of the first cupcake, which is called Mint, laptop, Mint Slice. The next cupcake is called Peppermint Patty, and notice that it's kind of creeping into column C. We're going to come back and fix that. I just want you to hit enter. Now I'm going to click in C, and you can see even though that this is falling into that side, it's still going to be okay to type here. So now I'm going to type cookies and cream. And again, it's hanging off the edge a little bit, but we're going to come back and play that or fix it. Column D, I will type in frosted chocolate. E is cotton candy. I'm getting hungry just thinking about all these cupcakes. And the last one is rainbow swirl. Okay, so I've typed in all of the words. Now we need to format it. It looks terrible. So I'm going to select all 5 of these boxes. That would be A4 through F4. We'll do what we know first. So let's fill it in blue. We'll change the font color to white. And we know how to center horizontally and vertically. So we'll do all of that. But you can see there's still a problem with it fitting in there. And what I want it to do, these really long ones, I want them to wrap around so one of the words ends up underneath it. Right up here where my cursor is, you can see this button is called text wrapping. And if I click the arrow right next to it, the one in the middle chooses to wrap. When you click that on, you see what happens to B, C, and D down here. They wrap around and now they fit and it looks much better. Okay, so now the next thing I see when I look at A5 through F5 is that those cells have big, thick blue borders on them. So I'm going to select A5 through F5. And the border button is this one right here. It kind of looks like a window pane. But if you think about all these boxes and putting borders on it, the picture makes sense. And it says borders when I click on it. So I'm going to go there. Now it is important that we choose color and thickness first, and then we tell it to turn borders on. So all the way at the right, I'm going to change it from black to blue. I'm going to change it from thin to thick. Notice nothing has happened yet because even though I've adjusted my tools, I still haven't told it where do you want the borders to go. So I'm going to click on this very first one. That means I want on all of the borders, top, bottom, left, right, inside, outside. And that's exactly what it does. It gives me borders on all of those boxes. Now, if you look in your email, you will see I sent you a message, looks like this, and there are 6 images that you need to download. Take a second to open up your email, and you can pause this video if you need to, and then hover over each one of them. Don't do this one that it does it all at the same time, then we have to unzip it. So you're going to go to each individual picture and press download, and I'll do the same thing here. Take a minute to pause, find the email. If you deleted it, go to your trash. You should be able to find it. Just search under my name and then download all of those images. All right, back on my spreadsheet, I'm ready to insert images in each one of these. Now, I set the images so that all of them work perfectly except for one, and you should understand why in just a minute. There's 2 different ways we can insert images. I'm going to click in cell A5. I'll go to Insert, Image, and now notice I have 2 options: insert image in cell, insert image over cell. My preference is always in a cell, but sometimes it doesn't work. So we're going to go through both. We're going to choose in a cell right now. That will bring me to this window. I can browse, go to my downloads, and I'm looking for the mint slice cupcake. When I press open, it will automatically drop it in that box. Now, what's great about putting it in a cell is I can come up here and choose to center it horizontally, and it'll put it in the box horizontally. I don't have to eyeball that. Also, if I opted to make the box bigger and I said to center it vertically, you see I could do that too. Now, we don't want the box to be quite that big, so I'm going to drag it back down and let it size up a little bit. But it's a great option for when you insert in a cell. So let's practice that again. I'm going to go to the peppermint patty box. I will go to Insert, Image, and I'm going to choose in a cell. And I'll browse, find the peppermint patty cupcake. I have so many pictures in here. And open. And again, I'm just going to center it horizontally and vertically so it sits in the box in the middle. All right, now cookies and cream is going to cause a problem, and I did that purposely so that you could see, well, what's the solution when it causes a problem? So let's go up. We're going to go to Insert, Image, and choose in a cell again. Browsing. We're going to look for that cookies and cream image. There it is. And when it inserts, you can see how small it is. Now here's the problem. This picture comes with a really large background. That's why it looks so small. The other ones didn't. I can still center horizontally and vertically, but I can't click on it and make it any bigger. And if I was actually selling these cupcakes, I wouldn't want one of them to be really little and the rest of them to look big and yummy. So I have to fix that. That's not going to be acceptable. So that's not going to be the way to enter it. I will delete that picture simply by hitting delete or backspace if you don't have a delete key. And this time I'm going to go Insert, Image, and say over a cell. So you can see why sometimes this is the right choice. I'm going to browse, and I will find that again. and open it. Now, don't be alarmed when it drops on your screen because it's going to be very large. There it is. That's a big cupcake. You can see it has selection handles in the corners. You can grab onto it. You can size it. Now, this doesn't live in the cell. It's just sitting on top of it. Remember, that's what it said, over a cell. And that's what I just selected it to do. So I can size it, but I can't center horizontally or vertically. I have to do that manually. And then the other problem is, back to what I said before, if I decided to make this bigger or I decided to make this wider, see, I have to go back in here and I'd have to readjust in order to make it fit. Did you notice that these two, I didn't have to do anything to, it just automatically sizes. So when you can put it in a cell, that's always my first choice. Here it is over a cell, that's the one that's gonna have to work that way. The rest of them should work by inserting in a cell. So let's just take a minute to put them in and then we'll move on. All right, and I'm gonna select these last three and just make sure that they're centered so that they're ready to go. All right, moving down on my form, it's looking good. The next thing I see that I have to do is row or cells A7 through C7 need to be merged. And then now that it's one long cell right there, I'm going to select A7 through F7. And we are going to fill it in green, change the font color to white and bold. And we're going to give some column headings for the table we're going to create. So we've got, oops, I thought I filled it in. Let me just adjust that. I must have chose the wrong thing. Fill it in green and change font color to white. Okay, so this is going to be flavors. And D7 is going to say 6, 4, 15. E7 will say 12, 4, 25. And F7 will say total cost. Now I want to select those boxes and center horizontally and vertically before moving on. Now each of these rows, 8 through 14, need to be merged A through C. So I have to select A8 through C8 and merge, A9 through C9 and merge. And I'm going to continue that right up to row 14. Now remember, the goal of these early activities in Sheets is just to get better at entering data and formatting. So though it seems tedious, the repetitive nature of it is on purpose. You should feel really pretty good at maneuvering around inside of these boxes by the time you're done. Row 15 actually has cells A through E merged. So I'm going to go A15 through E15 and merge. I'm going to go ahead and select this whole table that I just set up. So that's going to be cells A7 through F15. I'm going to go back up to the borders. Now remember what I told you before, you have to choose your color first. So my color is blue. Change your thickness. I want it to be thick. And then I'm going to turn on all the borders and you see what that looks like. There's the second part of my table. It's ready to be filled out if I was actually purchasing them. But to fill out this form so people know what they're filling out, I'm just going to put in the names of the cupcakes again. We've got mint slice and peppermint patty. Then over here, it says total payable. However, this box happens to be right aligned. And it looks like all of them are bold. Just go back in there and select and make them bold. Right, we are zeroing in on the end here, so let's move down. Now, again, there is a handout for this. If you had that right next to your computer as you're trying to just work on this, you're going to find it a lot easier. Make sure you stop by and pick up the handout if you were in class. So in row A17, we're going to type name in all caps, address in all caps, phone, email, contact. All of these words are going to be bold and right aligned. And then columns B and C, we will merge together B and C in rows 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. And in 21, we actually have a contact, which is foundation for, whoops, not in all caps. Let's turn that off. Foundation for fosterchildren.org. That will make sense in a second once you see the top of the form. So for this section here, I want you to, rather than putting all of the borders on, that's what this looks like, where every single box has a border. We just want a border around the outside. So just the outside area of this selected area. So to do that, we're going to go back up to the borders. We want it to be blue. We want it to be the same thickness, but we're not going to choose this one that puts all borders on. We're just going to choose this one that puts an outside border on. So you can see the difference, because there's all different ways that you can use borders. I purposely chose one that was slightly different, and that way you can use it. We'll select address, and we're going to fill that in green. And we'll select email, and we'll fill that in green. And that way you can see where the lines are, but we didn't do it by using borders. We did it by using alternating colors, just a different way. Okay, finally down at the bottom, we have A23 through F23. This is the bottom, very bottom of it, border. We'll merge it together. We're going to change the font to be bigger, maybe even like 24 might be overkill, but we'll see. We'll do green. And we'll do white text to make it bold. And let's see how this fits in here. All orders, oh yeah, that's way too big, are due by June 27th, 2022. I guess it fits. It's fine. We're going to leave it that big. It's a little aggressive, but that's okay. We will center and center. And that will sit at the bottom. Nobody's going to miss that. It's nice and big. Okay, so we're just about done. We have two things left to do that we've never done before. Well, that's not true. We've done them in slides, but they're different when we try to do them in Google Sheets. So the first thing we have to do is add shapes. Now, if you remember, when you're in slides, there's just a shape menu right up here on your toolbar, and you just click on it and add a shape. Well, it's not quite as easy when you're in Sheets. So we're going to go up to Insert, and we have to go to Drawing. When you go to drawing, it opens up this window, and there's the shapes we were just looking for. They're in this window. So I choose shapes. I'm going to choose a heart. I'll draw it on my screen. I can fill it in color. I can outline it in color. All of these things should feel familiar because we did it so many times when we were in Google Slides. Now, when I choose Save and Close, I'm going to drop it on my screen. Sometimes, yeah, here it is, all the way over here. I don't want it all the way over there. Okay, slide it up here. Now I can size it, but look, there's no way to tilt it. And you can see in the original picture, it needs to be tilted. So in order to do any adjusting to it besides size, I've got to go back in and edit. You can double click on it too, will bring you in there. If I click on it here, now I have the ability to tilt it and save and close. And I'll just size it again so it fits in there. And we've got one of them over here. Now we're going to have to repeat all of that. because it won't let me copy and paste this and flip it, even though I'd like to, because I can in slides. Sheets is a little different. So let's take a look again. Repetition is the best teacher. Insert, drawing, shapes, heart. We'll draw it and do my best to get it to be the same. Fill it in green, outline it in white, change the width. Now, because I know this time that I have to tilt it here, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I won't go back and forth. Tilt it the other way, save and close, and we'll position it over on the other side and size it to try to match the original one, the first one over there. All right, now there's one more thing I have to do, and that's to put in the Foundation for Foster Children logo. So you downloaded that. It has a border, so we're going to have to insert it as a drawing. Let me show you why. So if I just go to Insert, Image, Over Cells, and I browse my documents, I'm going to find that logo in here somewhere, Foundation for Foster Children. Here it is. Open. It will insert it. Will also let me size it, but it won't let me put a border on it. So we know how to add borders. When we look up here, this is not going to work because that's a border for the cell, not for the picture. I don't have that pencil border that I'm used to having. And the border that's in the original is a green border that's dotted and it's thick. I can't make any of those changes. So let's take a look at how we have to do this. It's a little complicated. We're going to go to Insert, Drawing. Because we have to edit the picture, it calls it a drawing. You'll see there's a little icon here to add a picture. So we're going to go to Image. We'll browse, choose an image to upload. We should see the same logo. It'll drop it in here. In this drawing window, I do have the ability to add a border, make it thicker, and also make it dotted. None of those things existed in the other window. So I've got to do it here. Now, when I save and close, it brings it in here. And oops, if you double click on it, it opens up the edit window. That's why that just happened. Okay, there we go. And size it and position it right in here. Finally, at the very bottom, there's one more heart. So we're going to add that, and we have to add a text box to it. So one more time, Insert, Drawing, choose your shape. It is a heart. This one is filled in blue, and it's also outlined in blue. And we've got to add a text box here because the text boxes don't exist in a Google Sheet either, only in the drawing portion. So with our text white, where is it? It's hiding on me. Here it is. We're going to put in the text. I'm going to make it a little bigger. And it says, thank you for supporting the Foundation for Foster Children. I will center. I'm going to make my heart a little bit bigger so none of that is falling off. I could have also made the text box a little smaller. Now I can read all of that. And now when I save and close, it should drop it in. Again, sometimes it hides. There it is. Those two things are linked together. They're all part of my drawing that I created. And then I just have to size it to fit right in here. And that's it. That's everything. So go ahead to open to attach and submit through Canvas.